Welcome to the 5 Minute Creative Podcast. I'm Patrick Smith. It is still Super Bowl Sunday, February 9th, 2025. And the game was unwatchable. It was so bad. I did try to stick through a few minutes of it to watch some commercials, and that's pretty much what I'm going to talk about today. But God, the game was awful. So I kind of checked out at halftime. But and actually, for most of the first half, I was just in and out. I just would check it out for a few minutes. But anyways, kind of the first brand I was going to talk about was Starbucks, or the first commercial, and the brand too. I guess Starbucks's rise was so fast and furious. And looking back on it, was what it had been like 95-ish or somewhere where it really kind of at least made it to Chicago, somewhere around there. Anyway, uh, and they one of the big things I remember brand managers used to talk about all the time was, well, Starbucks doesn't advertise and everybody knows who they are. Well, Starbucks also had to buy the most expensive real estate in every city, 4 blocks away from the next one. So you knew exactly what it was because you saw it every half mile. But anyway, it's a different strategy. Yeah, you don't need advertising, I guess, when you do that, but different strategy. But they did an ad, and they've done some ads before that's usually been seasonal for a like a fruit drink or something like that in the summer kind of thing or whatever. But this was more of a brand spot, and I guess over the last, I guess since COVID or so, even before COVID, well, originally, at least when it was on the upside or the growth phase, Starbucks was definitely touting itself as a community spot, kind of a third spot, not home, not work, somewhere in between where you can meet with friends, be social, all that kind of good stuff. I remember there used to be like board games and stuff on a shelf over there, or, certain ones and whatnot. But in the cities, what ended up happening, unfortunately, is they just would be taken over by squatters, more or less. And if you wanted to go into one and work, you just couldn't. It was just there was you just couldn't. It was very hard to get a seat anyway. And so probably since I guess the early late teens, early 20s, probably late teens, they were just remodeling them. I mean, retail gets redone every few years, anyway, but they were remodeling them with like the minimal amount of seats and areas where someone could work all day, and which is fine, whatever. But what's ended up happening is the place just became unwelcoming, so people just stopped going inside the store. And with the app, what Starbucks has become is a pit stop in people's mornings on their commute into work. They load up on the app whatever they're going to get and go through the drive-through. So it's not even really a space you go into anymore. If you go way out into the wilderness, there's a handful of Starbucks that still have good seating and stuff, but it's in the cities, it's far and few between, if any. Unless you go to like the Reserve or something like that downtown Chicago, where they've got, they took over the old Crate and Barrel, but that's a one-off. But anyway, as their perception of the brand's gone down, they actually had to run a commercial on the Super Bowl. And the commercial, I thought, was actually it was shot really well. The imagery was great. The story was fine. I think what they're trying to do is reestablish themselves as a place to go and a place where you'll be remembered. It's kind of that Cheers, everybody knows your name kind of thing, and the human touch to it, because again, people aren't going in there and enjoying it like they used to when it first was on the rise. And the brand suffered because when you take away the community part of it, their food's really not that good, and the coffee, I think people just it's not great. It's okay, but they just gotten used to it. So whatever. It's there's plenty of other competition out there anyway, so they must be feeling a little bit of the squeeze. And I didn't mind the spot, except I just hated the music. I don't know why they would put AC/DC's Thunderstruck. It's just of all the bands to use for Starbucks, it just seems so foreign, and the track itself is so overused. I mean, I know it's a sports kind of themed day, but just I don't know, it's just horrible. So that was a bad choice, and I think the reason they used it was because it probably tested well. People said, "Oh, I know this song. Oh yeah," and if they used anything else that was different or new, people say, oh, I'm not familiar with that. I don't know what to think about it because I don't want to form an opinion unless somebody tells me what to think about it. But AC/DC, oh yeah, they're great. So whatever. I love AC/DC, but Starbucks commercials, geez, come on. Anyway, so that was that. Um, in the Super Bowl intro itself, there was this Brad Pitt thing, this like introduction to the whole concept of America huddling up, and it just given the last 3 weeks politically, what's happened in the U.S. I mean, it's like the most tone deaf thing you could ever put out there. The NFL also got rid of the end racism uh, uh, type in the back end of at the end of the end zone, and I think they did it just because of Trump got elected, and then they added a new message that said it takes all of us, which is really vague and so much less powerful, but and so much more indirect. But geez, talk about just bending over. So not only was, and I really like Brad Pitt. I think he's great, but uh, it was the biggest piece of garbage I think I've ever seen. Just so self-important. Um, and I know it's a Super Bowl. It should be a big day. It is a celebration of the season and the sport and competition and all that good stuff. But the NFL, I just feel like is just gotten so bloated and whatever. It's just I'll leave it at that. I think there was an overly self-important rah rah USA thing that just is and uh, probably just felt inauthentic for a large part or for many people in the U.S. But hey, whatever. Um, I thought one of the best spots that I saw, and this was kind of a sleeper, was the Chicago Fire. I don't, obviously it probably wasn't a national spot, but um, the Chicago Fire spot started out really almost incredibly boring, with just it almost looked like a stock photo of just a horrible, just even a bad stock shot of football of all things. But they had a really great line. I think it said something to the effect of, after the big game starts, the beautiful game begins, and it just cuts to the Chicago Fire stuff, and it was just super simple, an actual concept, um, and it just to me it cut through because it was a little bit different take than your normal Super Bowl commercial, and I didn't realize it until after I saw it, but that was produced by Some Odd Pilot, which I was just there the other night, but it was a really good. I thought it was a really good spot. Um, oh yeah, the other thing that was of course there was the unfortunate tragic uh, terrorist attack in New Orleans. I don't know 3 weeks ago or maybe a month ago, whenever it was, and innocent people lost their lives. That's horrible, and we should remember them. But again, kind of coming back to the whole self-importance of the NFL, and I guess they were celebrating firefighters from LA and all this kind of stuff. But they have Tom Brady leading this parade down whatever street it was in New Orleans on this set to go talk, to ultimately lead you to Lady Gaga singing a song, which is fine. But Tom Brady, great player, amazing player, great story, everything about it. He is just, I don't know what it is about him. On TV, he just looks weird to me. He sounds weird. I don't think he's a great broadcaster. I know it's his first year. Maybe it'll grow on me, but I have, for everything I've ever seen him do on camera, besides play football, there's just something off that I just do not connect to this guy for whatever reason. Strahan, on the other hand, I think is great. I mean, I can't believe like when the Giants won the Super Bowl and he retired and he went on like Good Morning America, whatever. I thought he was like on there for a week because he was a Super Bowl champion. It's probably been like 15 years later. He's still on the show. I don't know if he was always wanted to be a broadcaster, but he's actually pretty good. So I don't have a problem with Strahan, but get rid of Tom Brady, please. Anyway, um, uh, oh, the Little Caesars commercial was actually pretty good. I forget the actor's name with the big eyebrows. Uh, I was going to say something about celebrities. It seemed like a lot of other commercials just had way too many. They rely on celebrities and hits of former hit songs or new hit songs to, I don't know, just for star power or whatever. At the expense of like a good idea, a true advertising marketing idea. But this one was a good twist on using a celebrity and having some fun with it. It was kind of gross, but at the same time it was pretty fun. It was perfect for Little Caesars. It's just silly. It was a nice spot, I thought. Um, Red Bull was a total dud to me. I mean, God, I don't know. I just it's kind of clever, I guess, maybe for a regular spot, but I'm amazed at the disconnect that I have. There's the Red Bull advertising, which is this cartoony Red Bull has wings things, which I think in the beginning was very nice, and it still can be. Um, but everything else the brand does is just completely different, and I guess maybe there's uh, nothing wrong with that, I guess, but it feels like I don't know, just a disconnect. And maybe they can get away with it for whatever reason, but for me, if it was me doing that, I would probably have relied on, and I just said too many brands rely on uh, celebrity and nostalgic, but I may have gone with a classic um, uh, Red Bull ad from many moons ago, and maybe try to reinvent it and try to reintroduce the brand that way. I don't know. I don't know. The Penguin thing it was all right. Um, Squarespace was okay. That was kind of funny. I mean, it was. I think it was a good ad for them. If that was happening on anything else other than the Super Bowl, you'd probably pay more attention to it. I think the same thing for Red Bull too. Um, Probably the best ad, and I can't read my notes. Oh no, what was this? I can't remember the brand. I'm so sorry, but it was a seal. This seal being a seal, they finally got it. I know that's an ad relying on a celebrity and a song, but I see seal. Oh, it was Mountain Dew. God, that's what it was. Another again, perfect for Mountain Dew. Sense of humor, self-deprecating on Seal's part. Him being a good sport for it. I'm sure he got a ton of money too. But that one was pretty good for for Mountain Dew. Um, what was another one? Oh, this the geez, I cannot write to save my life here. I thought the sloth spot was pretty nice. I thought that was pretty funny. There were some great little scenes there. And I wrote I can't even think that. Oh, geez, it was Coors. Um, Probably the best beer ad I've seen in a long time, just because it kind of wraps around this whole idea of Mondays and Case of the Mondays kind of thing. And they made a little mini campaign out of that whole deal. And it's I thought the sloth campaign was a nice add to everything else. And didn't rely on uh, celebrities or anything like that. And then Taco Bell, I think did a really nice job too, where uh, they did have celebrities in there, LeBron James, and there might have been somebody else, but they basically were celebrating the customer and telling LeBron James this commercial isn't for you. So it was a nice twist, perfect for Taco Bell. I'd have to say that was probably, I don't know if it was my favorite one, but I think maybe it would probably have to be a Mountain Dew Seal or or the Coors were probably the top two that I saw. Um, yeah, so that was the Super Bowl. Very lame. Commercials were probably a little bit more entertaining than the game, I would say. But I think that's going to be it. And we'll check you next time. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.